I don't believe in failure. I will never call a failure what happened to me. Failure doesn't exist. Failure exists only in your mind. If you believe that you're in a victim mode, oh my God, I failed myself. No, because there's always that's how you learn.
Welcome to FailCraft, the podcast where we dive into the messy, real side of success and explore how setbacks become the stepping stones to growth and clarity. I'm your host, Ezekiel Iferia, and today we are joined by Dr. Alain Salas, a number one Amazon best-selling author and mind-body expert who has helped thousands of clients for over 28 years. He is the creator of the Goal and Success Clearing System, designed to help ambitious entrepreneurs break free from limiting beliefs. But his journey to this point is a powerful story of resilience. He had a full practice, living his passion and the American dream, when he hit a wall of burnout so severe that his business went from thriving to failing, which led to divorce and a colon cancer diagnosis. He's here to talk about those failures and the journey to find out what went wrong. Doctor, it's an honor to have you on the show, sir. Welcome to FailCraft.
And thank you, Ezekiel. Like we say in my native language, bonjour, which
Oh,
is French.
fantastic. Sounds
How you doing?
awesome. Great. So let's dive in, Dr. Salas. Your story is so powerful. You describe a time where you had it all, a thriving practice, the American dream, or it led to burnout so extreme that your business started failing, your marriage ended, and you were diagnosed with colon cancer. So, can you take us back to that rock bottom moment? So, when did it all start, and how was it for you?
Yeah, so like everything in life, you think you made it, right? Finally, and like you said, you live the American dream, and I was so focused on my practice because it was my mission in life. When I was back in south of France, I used to run boat, and I had a calling, and I saw myself helping other people. So I sold my boat business, and came to the US to become a chiropractic physician. And after, with along the years, I did develop a system, a healthcare system that focused on the physical stress, the chemical stress, which is the internal chemistry stress, and the emotional and mental stress. So I was more focused on the chemical stress. So if you would have been a patient of mine, Ezekiel, we'll have come, we'll have check your body, using muscle testing. So your body will have tell me which organ are under stress and what's causing, which is very important, what's causing the stress in this organ. And after we'll have a plan, we'll find out if we've got food sensitivity. And the testing was really what we call muscle response testing. So you put your hand over the organ. If your arms go weak, it means there's stress there, right? And it's kind of an art, and I did that for around 20 years. And so I was helping lots of people. I was seeing like 250 patients a week, right? I had 4 employees. I had 8 treatment rooms, and so that's it. So I made it. But here's the problem. My mind was like so focused on the practice and helping other people because I thought I was doing the right thing. So I started to neglect my family. And when I was coming home after a day of work, I was there, but I was not present. So my marriage, started to fail. My relationship, of course, with my wife went down the drain. And I start ending up within a year, I ending up divorcing. And when you divorce and there's a kid, I had a daughter, Maya, right? It's never a handshake for sure. And so it put lots of stress on me, and I started to feel more depressed. And because I was more depressed, couldn't focus on the practice. And sure enough, my practice went from, thriving to failing, and I got caught up in that kind of a downward spiral, right? When everything is going until you hit the rock bottom with that spiral. And the rock bottom is when I was diagnosed with early stage of colon cancer, because you have to understand my job was to find out what was creating the inflammation in your body and how to remedy that. And here we go. I just do my own program. I got sick. So I had to redefine and rethink everything about my life, about my relationship, about my prosperity. about my job, right? Because I got sick, right? And so that's not right the way I was doing it, and and um, and my health, obviously, right? And so I went like so down, like I don't think I could have, getting like lower than that. And finally, so just to let you know, for example, I left the house pretty quickly, and I was living in my office, which it was a beautiful office. I had a shower, everything, no complaint there. I said, oh, I'm going to spend like maybe 6 months there, and 3 years later, I was still stuck there, right? So that was quite something. But simply, what I try to do, I try to like, okay, I'm a doctor, that's it, but it's just like a simple man who try to find solution for his problem, right? And I clearly what I found what was a missing link for me because I was pretty happy with the way I was treating patients physically. I created an energetical technique, I was a cranial specialist and all that, and so I was good with that. We're treating people chemically, not too happy because I got cancer, right? But I found out a way to supercharge the body with oxygen, and that's how I was able to treat my cancer successfully, right? But after there was only one part that was left over is the mind. Just only the mind, right? And so which is the most important thing. So I started to, I'm sorry, research about the mind, right? And so that was the state of mind that I had, right? And I have to say something to your audience. The only thing, the things that really helped me is like I never been in a victim mode. I always been in a creator mode. So what does it mean? The victim mode, I saw my dad being all his life as a victim, right? Why me? Why this is happening? Blaming on the outside circumstances, right? So I had a good. He showed me what not to do, basically. And at the same time, I knew through my healing and transformation I will be able to translate that into my patient and help them, right? So it was not only about me. I saw like a bigger picture, which at that time was only my patient, right? And so I started, like I say, Ezekiel, to study the mind and found some amazing things about the mind. But I mean, mind and body connection, not body and mind, but mind and body connection, it's so important. And yet the mind, which is like, the main things that we have, we don't know what the heck is going on down there, right? And so I try to get more clarity into that, and from that I created a technique which is called the mind clearing technique, right?
All right. Yeah, that was a really interesting story. Thank you very much for sharing, Dr. Allen. So, before the business failed and the diagnosis came, you mentioned being constantly tired, overwhelmed, and not present for your family. So, what did those early signs of burnout feel like?
Well, it's like you cannot focus. That's the main thing, right? You just try to focus on one job, and when you divorce and you've got so many other things going on, you've got that your mind is in constant motion, right? It's like you're too busy, you're too much in your head, right? And that's what I found most people are. They are too much in their head. So when you are too much in your head, and okay, let's put things straight. If you look at the statistics, right, 80% of our thoughts are negative for the average people. 95% were repeating the same pattern that the day before, different input, but the same way of thinking, right? And we've got 40 to 60,000 for the day. That's a mess. We're always busy in our mind, right? And in our head. And that's the bigger problem. So if you've got peace of mind, of course, you're going to have more clarity, you're going to have more focus, and you're going to feel more confident because the action you're going to be taking are going to be productive, right? And so that's the main thing. That's one of the main things, and that's why people experience burnout. And because the mind is like too much, doing too many things at the same time, trying to deal too many problems at the same time. And after the mind get confused, overwhelmed, and that's how you burn out. And that's an energy drainer because you basically are paralyzed. Usually you don't take action when you burn out, like, and we say, and most of the people who will have tendency to be on a victim mode and say, oh, why me? It's always happening to me. And look, it's because of my wife. And look what she did to me, blah, 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 things like that. But when you truly understand that all your failures are a good things for you, it's not comfortable. I will give you that, right? there's an opportunity for you to learn. Now, if you've got the victim mode, you're not going to learn anything because you're going to blame, you're going to play the blame game, and you're going to blame on other people or outside circumstances. But when you are in the creator mode, you understand that there's a reason, there's a lesson there for you to learn. And when you learn that lesson, what's going to happen is not going to happen to you again because you learned that lesson. You don't need that lesson anymore, right? And
Yeah.
so when you've got that optic and when you say, okay, I don't like that, but there's a reason why this is happening to me. So what it is, right? And when you figure out, then you can use only your conscious mind only for that, your analytical mind, and say, okay, what this is doing, like why this is happening to me, we call that digging, right? And so why, and after you come to the source, to the essence or why this is happening to you. And when you know that, it's much easier to correct it and to heal it.
All right. So I like to ask, what does it mean for someone to sabotage their success and promote their failures? And also, in that moment of crisis, what did you discover was sabotaging you?
Well, I discovered that we are all have been programmed. Ezekiel, you have been programmed, I have been programmed, everybody right now listening to that program has been programmed. And we can be programmed like anytime, right? And so how does it work really? Because that's really it. That's when you understand that, because it's not your fault if you have been programmed, right? Most more than likely, it's the program from other person that's surrounding you. So especially from the age to 0 to 7 years old, we are like sponges, and we absorb, the outside world, and we assume it's the truth what we are witnessing, right? So when you assume one time, two time, it become a program. But that program, instead of being conscious, go into the subconscious mind. Because you see, Ezekiel, we live in a two separate worlds at the same time. One world is called the conscious mind. It's what you are aware of. It's your self-identity. It's basically your thought, your emotion, your behavior, and your action. What you are aware of, how you see the world, how you perceive the. So that's called the conscious mind. And after you've got another mind that is very mysterious, Ezekiel, and this is called, just to make it simple, the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind record everything you have been doing in your life from age 0 to now. All your skill as an entrepreneur, as a husband, and whatever things that require skills are stored in your subconscious mind. All the automatic process in your body that you don't have to think of, like your digestion, like your breathing, like your heartbeat, are coming from your subconscious mind. So I become very intrigued with that. And there's two things that I want to mention to your audience. And the first thing is this. The conscious mind, who you think you are, it's only 5 or 10% of your mind. I repeat, your conscious mind, your self-identity, what you are aware of is only 5 or 10%. And you can Google it, you will see. Only
Wow.
5, 10% of your mind. And the subconscious mind, which you don't know really what the heck is going on there, right? It's 90 to 95% of your mind. And again, those programs are going into the subconscious mind and run you. Let me give you an example. If there's a little girl that sees her dad beat him up the mom every night because he's a drunk, what do you think down the road my little girl is going to attract as a partner? Going to attract the same, right? 80% of the
Yeah.
people will agree with us, right?
Yes.
So now, let me make a couple of points from that, right? And so that now she's a woman, she didn't have abusive relationship, right? And I asked her, hey, do you enjoy to get beat up like your mom? So the conscious mind gonna say no, but the
Hmm.
subconscious mind has been programmed as men are predator and women are prey.
Hmm.
And so the subconscious mind are going to attract each other. If I play the role of a subconscious mind of a woman, she's going to say, because how she's going to attract that guy, right? She's not going to say, hey, you come over and beat me up, right? Doesn't work that way, of course. So it's kind of a subconscious mind are all connected to each other. And if I play the role of a subconscious mind of that woman, she's going to say, oh, look, this man has been bullied and now he's a bully. He has the predator program, perfect match, fall in love with him. And after, if I play the role of a man, the predator guy, right? And so he's going to say, oh, look, she's, she's got the victim, the prey, a program. That's a perfect match for you, and so just fall in love with her. And so like opposite attract each other, or it takes two to tango. That's how it's gonna happen. And so who's winning? Who's dictating what's gonna happen is our program in our subconscious mind. So if you've got a self-sabotage program, maybe because your dad or your mom or a family member told you you're a loser and you believed it when you were young, right? Because you did something, it's going to be a program. I'm a loser. So if you look at a triangle like this, and inside the triangle, right, you've got the limiting belief, I'm a loser, right? So on top of a triangle, that's your fault. You're going to think I'm a loser. On the right side base of a triangle, it's your feeling. You're going to feel like you on the left side of the base of a triangle, it's like your behavior and action. And you're going to behave like a loser. So you're going to have loser result. Because you've got loser result, you're going to feel even more like a loser. And you're going to think, man, I know I was a loser, but such a loser. So now you caught up on what I call that the subconscious stress loop. And you've got a ton of loop running behind the scene and dictating your present and shaping and molding your future.
Okay, that was a response packed with so much insight. Uh, all right, so you went on a journey to find out what went wrong. So, what was the biggest discovery you made about yourself or your limiting beliefs during that search?
Well, what I discover is like um, I had some limiting belief that was, the main one for me was okay, you can have success, but you cannot last, right? You're allowed to
Mm,
have a success, but you cannot last it and you will go failure. So it's like you peak and after you go down, you peak and after you go down. And sure enough, in my life, even with finances, it has been like that. I used to work in France and go to different countries, and I made lots of money. And after I sold everything to buy a boat, right? And I was living in my boat, and I did not make as much money, obviously. And after I sold my boat and I came to America to become a chiropractor, I could have loans, so I spent all my money, to become a doctor. And after, sure enough, I've got that American dream, and boom. And after everything's happened, but I don't believe there's failure. I don't believe in failure. I will never call a failure what happened to me. Failure doesn't exist. Failure exists only in your mind. If you believe that you're in a victim mode, oh my God, I failed myself. No, because that's how you learn. Look, I created a technique that can revolutionize the healthcare and also the attraction things, right? And the goal and success. Without that so-called failure, which is not again, it will never happen because why will I look for it, right? I will have no intention to fix myself, right? And so there's no failure, you know, like there's no success, you just have to have a purpose. And for me, success is when you live your purpose. And
mm.
after society will say, oh, you make a ton of money, you are a success. And no, really, truly, true success for me, it's to know your mission in life and to live it. That's success.
Wow, that was a very, very powerful nugget. To fail is when you leave your purpose. I think I will note that down. So, Dr. Alain, for the entrepreneur who is listening right now, who might be on the same path that, you know, they are successful, but they are constantly tired, overwhelmed, and not present. So, what is the first piece of advice you'd give them to avoid hitting the same rock?
Well, the energy drainer are doubt, all those negative energy. And remember, I mentioned 80% of our thoughts are negative for the average people. So we need to change that. In order to change that, the mind clearing will help to have more peace of mind. Like that, you don't drain your own energy in negative thought or negative emotion and all that. That's actually what's happening. the lack of energy, because where this energy is coming from. I know some people talk about energy, oh, you take this and that, but your energy is divine. That's where it's coming from. It's coming from your spirit. And after, so you got your higher self, you got God or whatever you want to call it, awareness and all that. And after you got your spirit, you got your soul. And after you got, the physical body. And the transition, the subconscious mind for me is like a part of the soul in a way, and a part of connected to the soul and the spirit. So if your subconscious mind, you've got lots of negative programming, of course, your energy is going to be drained, right? Because it's going to be negative thought. Negative
Yeah.
thought and negative emotion will drain you, as you know, right? I mean, are you like super enthusiastic when you so negative and you feel down? Of course not. It's an energy drainer. That's the main energy drainer. That's what it is. And therefore, you need to clear your mind to have. That's why I call that the mind clearing. Like that, we get rid of some limiting beliefs, right? Because you've got two kind of programming: limiting belief, which is negative programming, right? Which is like energy drainer, if you want, and else. And after you've got the empowering belief, which is belief that positive programming. So the more positive programming in your body, the more energy you're gonna have, the more positive outlook you're gonna have, and so that's it. Now, if you are an entrepreneur, you have problem to reach your goal, is because your current reality, where you are at and what you want to reach, you've got program that preventing you to maybe to reach it. Or like me, you can reach it, but after you will lose it all. Right? So what the mind clearing will do, it's like a regular program in a computer. What do you do when a program is not working for you? You delete it, you go to the store, right? And after you download a new program, and after you make sure that you can, it will happen really on the screen of life, right?
Yeah.
On the screen, you want to be pleased with the outcome, right? You want to make sure it happen in your life. Those are the three steps of mind clearing: delete what you don't want, download what you want, and create what you want.
All right. So, Dr. Salas, after navigating that incredible journey from thriving to failing and then rebuilding your health and your income, of course. So, I like to ask, right now, what does being successful truly mean to you?
And that's what I said, is to live your purpose. So in order to me, you cannot call be successful if you don't know what's your mission in life. Why you are, the way you have been wired, there's something, right? And so that's why I teach people, it's not very complicated. I teach people, if they don't know what their purpose is, the purpose is the why you're doing things. It's coming from your heart. The why is coming from your heart. How you doing is coming from your head. And what are you doing is coming from your gut. And
Hmm.
so the heart is the most powerful thing. So you have to have your heart straight. You need to know why you're doing things. And people will tell me, oh, because I want to be a millionaire. Okay. All right. Why you want to be a millionaire? All right. And after we go towards the essence. And if you're not sure, I've got some technique that you can go to a different, how can I say, not even mindset, a different state of mind if you want. And after you can download some good things, right? And from that you can get your purpose, right? If you don't know. And most people, it's not like they don't know their purpose. They say, oh yeah, I want money. Oh yeah, you want money. What are you gonna do with that money, right? And so that's after we posing the question, why? After you can come to the essence. For example, my purpose is to help people. That's it.
Hmm.
Very simple, right? Since the
Yeah.
beginning, when my mission in life has been given when I was sailing in south of France, that was it, to help people, right? So whatever it's yours, it comes down to something very simple. Now, if you want to help people, I mean, it's good to have a business, if you're right, and like that you can help, and the more people you help, the better, of course. But you need to know what's your purpose, what's your mission in life, because your mission in life is your fire, is what's going to feed you, is what's going to give you the energy, like you were talking about, to go through, different obstacles that's going to happen to you. That's life, right? We say in France, c'est la vie. So of course that's going to happen to you, but that's how you're going to can go through challenges because you're gonna have your fire. Right? And so more you take action after, it just put more logs into your fire that is your purpose. That's how it works.
All right. This has been a really amazing conversation. So, finally, for our listeners who were inspired by your story and want to learn more about the goal and success clearing system, so where is the best place for them to go?
Well, you go to my website, it's called themindclearing.com, THE mindclearing.com, and you go to contact and you've got the form that shows or you've got my email. And what I will recommend is just to experience the work with me. If you spend an hour, right, you get 20% off if they're coming from the FailCraft podcast, right? And like that, you will understand because, we can talk about things forever, but until you experience it, you just don't know, right? You can imagine in your head that after, for example, with this technique, in less than 10 minutes, 5 minutes, we can get rid of negative emotions. That's how fast. Because when you reprogram it, right? So like that, you will feel better right away and you will understand what I'm talking about. Truly.
Awesome, awesome. So, Dr. Salas, it's been a really great chat with you, and I'm excited to have you on the podcast today.
And thank you, Ezekiel, for your welcoming. I appreciate it.